This is a major update. According to an NBA executive, he notes that a number of teams around the league are watching the Utah Jazz and their all-star, Lauri Markkanen. And one of the teams that he named was the New York Knicks. We're going to break down these latest reports and so much more today. If you're not already subscribed to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button now. And make sure you have notifications turned on so you don't miss a second of the new content. And now, let's get started. The Knicks are interested in Utah Jazz All-Star Lauri Markkanen. It may not be the offseason just yet, but we're getting that offseason reporting. The Knicks being interested in Lauri Markkanen feels like something inevitable. Each and every offseason, it seems like the Knicks go all the way back to the well of Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz, trying to get some type of player from there to add to their roster. At one point, it was Donovan Mitchell. Another point, it was another player. And now it seems like all eyes are locked in and focused on Lauri Markkanen and his situation with the Utah Jazz. Now, I don't know if he's going to be available for trade. That's going to be up to Danny Ainge. But if he does become available for trade, he is going to have a number of suitors waiting to trade for him. One of those teams, according to an NBA executive, is the New York Knicks. Let's break down these latest reports about Markkanen and the teams interested in trading for him. According to TheHeavy.com, they reported that Lauri Markkanen could fill a key role for the Knicks. So much so that one executive tabbed him as a dream target for New York. According to that executive, there are a few teams that, when you look at it, he is going to be their dream target. The Lakers, you get a guy like him with Anthony Davis, and that's perfect for both guys. The Knicks would love to get a hold of him. The Heat, again, put him with Bam Adebayo, and that is the pair you want to build around. You can send Jimmy Butler wherever he wants. Just the floor spacing aspect of it, it's so valuable. He could make things easier on your stars. It's very easy to understand why the Knicks may hold Lauri Markkanen as one of their dream targets because of his fit, his size, his ability to space the floor, but also his ability to break down the defense. He can score in the mid-range. He can score from the three. And because of his size, defenders that try to guard him are going to have a very tough time. They're not going to be able to do so very easily. And even when they do, he has a very high basketball IQ where he can pass out of it and make sure somebody else gets open, gets the ball, and they can make a shot. We've seen it in his time with Utah. His game has gotten better and better each and every year. And if the Knicks were going to target an all-star to go out and get, to make sure they fit this team and fit what we're trying to build in the future, he would be a key piece, a key player to add to this team. The only reason I really don't mention him a lot is because he plays for the Utah Jazz, and that means the Knicks are likely going to have to deal with Danny Ainge. And we know how that story goes. No matter who the player is that's available, if the Knicks call for that player and try to trade for that player, Danny Ainge will ask for the farm from the Knicks. If it's another team, he might treat them fairly. But for whatever the reason may be, Leon Rose and the Knicks, Danny Ainge and the Utah Jazz, whenever they do business together, it just doesn't work. One side asks for way too much and talks just fall apart and they break down. That's exactly what happened with Donovan Mitchell. And I would think that if the Knicks went after Lauri Markkanen, the exact same thing would happen as well. Because let's say that the Utah Jazz did make Lauri Markkanen available for a trade. The next thing you got to consider is the cost. What would be the cost for the Knicks to trade for Lauri Markkanen? If you were thinking it was going to cost a lot of picks, you would be absolutely right. But it's also going to cost you something else, a piece of the core, Julius Randle. According to TheHeavy.com, the Knicks could not go into the 2024-2025 season with both Randle and Markkanen on the roster. The Knicks would love to get Lauri in there with OG and Brunson. He is a better fit for them than Randle is because of the shooting. That's according to the NBA executive. If they could swap Randle for Markkanen, then cough up a lot of first rounders, 5 or 6, you'd have to think you might get Danny Ainge on board. but they don't want Randle in Utah, so it has to be picks. And this is why the Lauri Markkanen trade is considered a dream, because that cost is absolutely insane. Not only do you have to give up Julius Randle, who's already a 3-time All-Star, already a player that gives you superstar-like numbers. And if you compare his numbers to Lauri Markkanen, it's actually comparable. They both have comparable numbers. But even though that's the case, the Knicks, even though they want Lauri, would have to give up several first-round picks, likely unprotected. They would not want any of our protected picks that we have from other teams. They would want our picks in any type of Lauri Markkanen trade. Because if you know Danny Ainge, that's the type of guy he is, and that's the type of picks that he wants. And there's no in-between. And that's why deals fall apart, because Ainge asks for this, and then the Knicks want to negotiate, say, well, we can't do this. We can't do this or that. And Ainge shuts it all down, and he continues to ask for only what he wants, regardless of anything else, regardless of negotiation or anything like that. He doesn't care. He just wants to get the most out of any deal he makes with any team, regardless of who that is. But sometimes I feel if that team on the other end of the line is the Knicks, he just has a little bit more pleasure in asking for more, asking for the farm, and hoping that the Knicks say yes, and he can get a haul, a steal for any player the Knicks want. Lauri Markkanen is a great player, amazing fit. I would love the Knicks to target him, to go after him, and to trade for him. But if they did that, they would have to give up Randle. Now, I wouldn't be against the trade if it was a Randle for Lauri Markkanen swap, because if that was the case, I think the Knicks would come out ahead, and eventually they would be the better team because Lauri would get chemistry with this team, and once he gains that, this Knicks team would be even more dangerous. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're not talking about a swap. In fact, we just heard Utah doesn't even want Randle. So if they took on Randle, it would just be because they want to help facilitate the trade to get Lauri to New York. But if they did that, they want to be compensated. And the way they want to be compensated is with first-round picks. And according to this NBA executive, it might take 5 or 6 to get Danny Ainge in the room to listen. Who knows if that's what it's going to take to complete the trade? He might ask for Deuce McBride. He might ask for a couple of these other players. We don't know exactly. But Danny Ainge, he is very sneaky. He wants to take as many assets as possible in any trade that he makes with any team. So you have to be careful when you make a move with him. Because it's Danny Ainge, because of the potential cost in order to get Markkanen on your roster, I don't think the Knicks are going to be making this deal. Now, clearly they're interested, and clearly they're looking at Utah to see what's going on with Lauri Markkanen and his situation there. But even though they're showing a level of interest in Markkanen, it doesn't mean they're going to be trading for him. They're likely doing their due diligence to understand the value of stars, all-stars, and superstars around the league. That way, come this offseason, once they understand the full list of disgruntled stars around the league, they understand what their values are going to be and potentially what they're going to have to give up to get that player on this team. But this offseason is going to be different from any other offseason the Knicks have experienced. And it's for a number of reasons. One reason is because the Knicks went all the way to the Eastern Conference semifinals, Game 7 in their house with a hobble team. They got to the 2nd seed of the Eastern Conference, and their roster was dealing with a number of injuries. You saw Jalen Brunson turn into a superstar, and the Knicks have all the assets needed to pull off a major trade this offseason. That's why it's something to watch. And the Knicks don't have to go after each and every star that becomes available. They have the luxury of going after the right star that fits, the star that fits what we're looking to build now and in the future. And because we're in that position, the Knicks hold a lot of leverage and a lot of power. Because fully healthy right now, this Knicks team probably can make a case to go all the way to the NBA Finals without adding anybody. If they make the right additions this offseason, you're talking about locking in that status of being an NBA Finals contending team each and every year for many, many years. If you make the right upgrades. Leon Rose in this Knicks front office, I believe in them. I trust them. I know they're going to make the right upgrades. I hope and pray that upgrade could be Lauri Markkanen. But unfortunately, just because of the cost, I can't see the Knicks in Utah doing business together. But I couldn't see the Knicks and Toronto doing business together either. And Leon Rose worked magic and he got a deal done. Maybe he can do the same thing with the Utah Jazz this offseason, but I won't be holding my breath for that. Lauri makes sense. He's an incredible player and an amazing fit for this team. But I just don't see it happening because we have to deal with Danny Ainge. And dealing with Danny Ainge means any deal you want to do will die there because he's not doing any of those deals. Only the deals that benefit him and the Utah Jazz. And those deals just aren't fair for anybody. But what about you guys? What do you think about these latest reports about Lauri Markkanen and the Knicks potentially being interested in trying to get him on the roster? Let me know in the comments below, guys, because honestly, I would love to hear from you. But that's going to do it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, go ahead and smash that like button, leave a comment below. And of course, guys, please subscribe to the channel. Until next time, Knicks fans. Peace.